Right, Saturday night, UFC 281 goes down at Madison Square Garden, and the main event is an incredible fight. Yes, you know, Israel Adesanya, the long-time middleweight champion of the world, taking on Alex Pereira, a guy that has come into mixed martial arts, taking the sport by storm, and in just after 7 fights, he's now fighting Israel Adesanya for the middleweight title. It is a meteoric rise, and the fight with a ridiculous storyline in this, because everybody knows Pereira beat Israel Adesanya twice, once by decision and once by knockout. So obviously coming into this one, with both guys being predominantly kickboxers, the writing on the wall seems to be Israel Adesanya is going to get beaten. He is going to get knocked out. But I'm going to give you 5 reasons right now why that's not the case. Number 1, the kickboxing fights don't mean anything. And no, I'm not talking about the obvious. This is clearly a mixed martial arts contest with a lot of different avenues of attack. Of course, wrestling, takedowns, jiu-jitsu, all the rest of it. But no, that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Look, there is a reason why a 7-fight novice who has only been in the UFC for a few years is challenging the middleweight champion of the world. Firstly, that's because Adesanya has literally beaten everybody in the top 5, and in some situations he's beaten them twice. And secondly, the fact that Alex does hold those 2 victories, like I say in kickboxing, that does create a great storyline. But I don't think that means much in terms of the actual physical fight. Adesanya, he's been the best middleweight on planet Earth for a long time now. That was the case when he knocked out Robert Whittaker in 2019, and it remains the same now in 2022. But the fact that he's beaten someone that beat him before, that provides an extra little storyline. Listen, Adesanya's not the type of guy to second guess himself, to let negative thoughts mess with his performance. He won't go into this one thinking, wow, this guy's beaten me twice before, oh my God. No, that's not going to be the case. He is supremely confident. He has fought and beaten some of the best fighters in the world. Robert Whittaker twice. Look at how good, how strategic, how smart. The fight IQ on Robert Whittaker is absolutely ridiculous. But yet he continues to win. The only time he's been beaten in the UFC was when he stepped up to the 205-pound division against Jan Blachowicz. And listen, he got beat by decision. It didn't go his way. And in that fight, Jan Blachowicz had to use wrestling. That is ultimately what swayed that fight for him. Look, listen, he's going to go into this one thinking positive thoughts, not thinking about the negative. When I fought Luke Rockhold the second time, I hung on to the belief and the fact, mind you, that Rockhold beat me the first time because he opened a cut, which happened in training, and the blood went into my good eye. Izzy coming into this one, he will focus on the fact that the first fight was extremely close, and realistically it could have gone either way. And in the second fight, Israel Adesanya forced the referee to give Pereira a standing 10 counts. I think it went to the 7 or 8. He landed some amazing shots. The referee stepped in, gave him a standing 10 count. And then right after that, Izzy got a little overzealous, went in for the kill, and got caught by a left hook. It was a 1-2-3 from Pereira. Absolutely textbook, but he sat him down and put him out. But listen, that's the way it goes in combat sports at the highest level. Adesanya will still be supremely confident. He has marked his territory, literally like a dog, on several occasions, and he's going to do the same thing at Madison Square Garden. Reason number 2, speed. Look, listen, if Alex Pereira has the advantage in one-punch knockout power, then you can bet your bottom dollar that Izzy has the advantage in speed. And like the old adage says, speed kills. It is such a valuable weapon to have. He is as good as anyone inside the octagon at controlling distance and controlling range. He slides in and out of striking range, just absolutely beautiful. He switches stances so smoothly. When he switches stances, he can go forward, he can go backwards, but all the while in a stance prepared to attack with either limb. Listen, he is so fast. His reflexes are absolutely ridiculous. And throughout the course of him being in the UFC, they've only got better. His fight IQ is ridiculous. His takedown defense is amazing. The ability to spring back to the feet if Alex does try and surprise him with a takedown is also there. But the speed of his shots and the way that he throws them, a lot of straight shots, A to B, as the crow flies. The speed of Adesanya is absolutely phenomenal, and that is why a lot of fighters have actually frozen. I'm talking about Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero. Those 2 fighters were very formidable. They were the number 1 contenders. Yoel Yoel Romero, in a lot of people's mind, was one of the best fighters on the planet, if not, the uncrowned champ. He never showed up against Israel Adesanya because he was absolutely befuddled, bamboozled, whatever word you want to use, by the man's speed. And the same with Paulo Costa. He stood away at range. He picked him apart with the jab. He threw leg kicks. Absolutely butchered his leg kicks. He took his time. The speed was there. And when the time was right, he took out his opponent. Reason number 3, experience. Listen, experience is such a valuable thing to have. It cannot be bought. It has to be earned. And the man has been the UFC champion now for over 3 years. Only Amanda Nunes, the featherweight champion, and the Bullet, Valentina Shevchenko, have reigned longer as current UFC champions. Izzy had already made 3 UFC title defenses by the time Alex, who is 2 years older, had his first fight. And then, of course, when it comes to experience, there's the fight week feels. You're fighting at Madison Square Garden, one of the most highly revered stadiums on planet Earth. And when you're in the main event, and then yes, Pereira did fight there this time last year, but when you're the main event, everything's different. The media schedule that you have, the interviews that you have to do, and just the general pressure that you have to go through. The UFC sending the countdown crews to your house, to your gym, following you through the airport, all these things, they sap away at your energy, and they can be a distraction from what's really important. And what's really important is winning the fight. All the promotion goes out the window. If you lose the fight, nobody cares. And Israel Adesanya has been through this process so many times. And another factor to consider when it comes to experience is that it helps you in your ability to stick to a game plan. And a game plan is something that Israel Adesanya has shown an ability to stick to many, many times. Listen, sometimes people have, talk shit about his performances. Sometimes people have walked out of the arenas, I've heard, because he was the main event and they wanted to beat traffic because it was so obvious that he was going to win, but he wasn't playing to the crowd. And that, to some people, if you just want a violent bloodfest, 2 guys just throwing game plans out the window and trying to beat the shit out of each other, that's fucking awesome if you want to see that. But if you want to see one of the best fighters on the world who isn't playing to the crowd, but he's playing to win the fight above everything else, then Israel Adesanya does that. He doesn't care what their opponents do. He doesn't care what the fans want to see. All he cares about is winning the fight. In fact, he even said that this week. He said, I don't give a fuck about the belt. All that matters is winning this fight. Okay, and that relates to the crowd. It relates to his opponent, whatever mind games Pereira tries to bring, whatever shit he tries to pull inside the octagon, trying to lull him into a brawl, because that would be his best plan. But with the experience that Adesanya has, you better bet your bottom dollar he's going to stick to the game plan. Number 4, as I said, it kind of relates to experience, but it comes down to patience. Izzy knows who he is. He knows the life that he's built. He's a very, very famous person all the world over with millions and millions of dollars in the bank. Massive endorsement deals with huge companies. And all of this comes from the fact that he's the champ. So therefore, with all that experience, you acquire patience. And it kind of plays into the fact what I said before. But he loves the lifestyle of being champion. Of course, he loves the money. He loves all his gold. He loves nice cars, likes to treat his family, lives in a beautiful home. If he loses a fight, if he loses the belt, that all goes out the window. Now, of course, on the flip side, you've got Pereira that's looking at this. He's looking at the riches. He's looking at the fame and the wealth. And he wants a piece of that. But what's more motivating? Wanting it or wanting to keep hold of it? I guess we don't know until the fight happens. But Izzy is very, very patient. And that's what he's going to show in this fight, because the best thing for Pereira, make no mistake, is for Izzy to engage in a brawl. And if you engage in a brawl with someone that Pereira, that we've said may have the punching power, that gives him the advantage. That doesn't mean Izzy can't hurt him. It doesn't mean he can't win in a brawl, but it plays into the game plan. Izzy's very experienced, and with that experience, as I said, comes a lot of patience. And patience is going to be key. He's not going to give a shit if the crowd is booing. He doesn't care if Pereira's gesturing to him, saying, come on, let's fight, let's exchange, let's brawl, let's throw down. He's going to stick to the game plan. He's going to glide in and out of action. In fact, he even said this week, I might just jab him and kick him if I have to. And my final point here is the X factor. Listen, Izzy's the star. Izzy's the A-side. Izzy loves his life. Izzy wants to beat this man, but he's not going to go out there and be absolutely reckless, throw down in a brawl, get relentless, and just give the fans what they want to see. This man, he said, getting the win back over Pereira, that means more to him than anything. Listen, stepping in there, of course, the belt's on the line, but more importantly, there's pride as a man. And Israel Adesanya is a proud motherfucker. He wants to be able to say, hey, listen, I beat you when it really matters. Take your little kickboxing matches that not many people watch, but when it really mattered at UFC 281, Madison Square Garden, with thousands of media in attendance, millions of people watching all over the world, potentially millions watching on pay-per-view. Almost every single country on planet Earth, there will be people watching this fight. That is when it really matters. The reality is, Pereira, it wasn't the only person that he lost to in kickboxing. His professional record as a kickboxer was 75-4. The other three that beat him were Simon Marcus, Philip Verlinden, and Jason Wilness. But those guys, they haven't been marketed as the man that beat Izzy, the man that beat the UFC champ for years. No, there's only one person that's been labeled that, and that is Alex Pereira, and he is the guy that's in the UFC right now. So this is about pride. This is about being the bigger, better man, the better fighter. And there's a reason why Izzy has got to where he's at. There's a reason why he's one of the poster boys for the UFC, one of the biggest stars that they have. And it's the whole package. He looks good, he dances good, his ring entrances are awesome, and his fights are unbelievable. And so far, as a middleweight, not a single person has been able to beat him. And that's great fighters, hard hitters, excellent wrestlers, Olympic medalist wrestlers like Yoel Romero, hard-hitting motherfuckers like Paulo Costa, well-rounded guys like Robert Whittaker that can wrestle, that can punch, that can kick, guys that can do everything. Israel Adesanya has come up on top every single time. So when you consider all of those reasons, is there any reason why that he wouldn't be the champ on Saturday night when all the dust has settled? Now, of course, there is reasons why Alex Pereira can win this fight as well. I already alluded to the fact that he has bigger power, but that will be in another video, probably dropping tomorrow. Do me a favor, subscribe and ring the bell. Right, I've got a shirt on. I'm off out for dinner. I'll catch you later. All the best. Take care.